Hey, y'all, I am here with another person that I was incarcerated with. I have the incredible Jazz with me. We were locked up together on the Dr. Lane Murray unit, and we knew each other for quite a few years there. Hi, Jazz.
Hey, what's up? What's up?
Thanks for coming on the show. I appreciate it so much. And you're just another person that did quite a bit of time. And it just makes my heart so happy to see you on social media and see you working hard, thriving to change your life and build a new life for yourself.
Yeah, I'm trying, man. Trying. I had some little obstacles, but it's nothing that I can't do without God. And I'm just really blessed out here that I found my wife, and I just got a new start. Of course, like before I got out, I lost my mom, my brother, and I thought it was gonna be like hell out here, but I'm really blessed that I found her, and we have a new life. It's going good. A little rough time with parole, but it's going as good as we can.
I definitely want to get to your obstacles and challenges you've had with being on parole and all of that, because I know that's kind of a story within itself, right? Before we
Yeah,
get to that, can we talk just a little bit about your life prior to your incarceration?
yeah, for sure, for sure. I always tell people like I told you, I told a lot of people whenever I was in there, like I had a really great mom, and she did everything in her power for me not to end up where I ended up. But at the end of the day, we all make our own choices, And I got in trouble for aggravated robbery. But before that, I mean, I graduated number 19 on my class, top 10%. I had scholarships. I don't know. I just chose to go the other way instead of trying to go to college and do the right thing. I started like after I graduated, I started popping in bars, and then I started hanging out with people from the hood that she didn't want me to hang out with, and that ended me up where I was at. But I will say that prison changed me for the better. Like I didn't let it make me bitter. I didn't let it make me hard. I don't know if you ever heard of Damon West, but that coffee bean story, like
Yes.
him, that hit me real hard. Like right before I got out, and I was like, you know what? I'm not the egg. I'm not the carrot. I'm gonna be that coffee bean, and that's how I feel like. That's what my experience was in prison. Like I didn't let all the other stuff break me down. I actually learned and I grew from that. And it's crazy because the job I have right now, I'm literally doing everything I did in maintenance in there with this job. Like it's crazy. I got the phone, I got the keys, I got it all.
That's awesome. So, how old were you when you went to prison?
I was 22.
You were 22 and you had a lot of jobs. You brought up a prison job. You worked in the maintenance department. You got to learn a lot of skills. Tell me about that.
So when I was in there, man, they made me do like my whole 2 years at Plain State, man, and that sucked. But at Plain State, I got my OJT in landscape gardening, and then once I hit Lane Murray, I did whole squad for a little bit, but then I got to the kitchen, so I got my OJT with stock clerk. Then I got to move around and went to maintenance, and I didn't get my OJT in maintenance, but I think I went back to stock clerk, and after that, I went Cadillac gym job. I had the best job ever. I was an aerobic instructor. But then, when I pulled chain, I remember I pulled chain from Lane Murray, and I went to Carroll Young, and that's where I got my OJT in general maintenance over there. I did maintenance over there the whole time I was there.
How does the maintenance department in prison work? Like you as a maintenance worker, what does that look like?
Okay, so in there, you got a lot of different people. Like I want to say in maintenance, it's like everybody got that strong head, man. It's kind of wild, but maintenance it works in there. You're basically thrown out there to learn hands on. Like with the job I'm working right now, they be like, oh, well, you know, be careful, it's hot. I'm like, man, I ain't worried about it being hot. We worked on it hot in prison. We didn't turn off no breakers. So it's good. It's a learning experience, but I liked it. I learned a lot. I learned a lot.
I love that you were able to take some things that you learned in the penitentiary and actually apply that to a real job out here because it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, it does. And it's crazy because when I went to go interview for this job, I interviewed for an electrician apprentice. But I told him, I was like, sir, I'm going to be honest with you. Your plumbing, your HVAC, your carpentry, your electrical. I can do all that, man. I was like, I could run this whole little spot. It was a blessing that I found that job, but it's crazy because it's like literally everything that I've seen in prison, all our PMs, all the problems that they have with work orders. Like in prison, it's always like, y'all got to get on them work orders. Y'all got to make sure y'all close them right and make sure you're doing the time right. It's the same thing out here. Like, they be on that, but like the work orders, make sure you clock in, make sure you write the right notes, make sure you're clocking out. It's so crazy because I was like, damn, literally everything that I did in there, I'm doing out here.
Jazz, how much time did you actually do? You went in at 22. When did you come out?
I was 33 when I got out. I did 10 years and 9 months. And then they sent me to the halfway house. So, I mean, I count that still as my time. So I really did like 11 years.
I count my halfway house as time too. It was time away from our family.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, so I had a 20 and I made my first parole, but it just took forever. Like I was in review for a long time. And then when I finally got the answer, I pulled for the FI6. I mean, not FI6, FI5. I got that, I went to Henley and I did my 6 months and turned around, did the 2 and something months over there at the halfway house, and then I came home. So yeah, I was 11 on that 20.
You talked about losing some family members towards the end of your incarceration. I'm not going to try to like make you relive any trauma, Jazz, but I'm so sorry for your loss. And people ask me about furloughs often. Was that an option for you to go to services?
You know, whenever my mom got sick, COVID just hit. Like I put chain to Carol Young, and I put chain January 2020. And my mom, when I got there, she found out that Friday that she had stage 4 breast cancer. And March came and they shut down all visitation because of COVID. You know, they shut all that down. So I got to see her a couple times before they shut it down. And she was good. She beat it. She was doing good. And then like it was actually Christmas Eve of 2020, we found out that it got to her spinal cord. It came back and she passed away in January 2021. But I couldn't go. I mean, it was COVID. And if besides COVID, they weren't going to let me go because my charge was aggravated. But I had a good chaplain over there, Carol Young, and she let me have like 2 hours. I was the whole service. I got to do it like this. Like, so, I mean, I was grateful for that. And then my brother passed away like right before I got out at Henley. He passed away 8 months after my mom. He had got staph. And I just really think it's because he's the baby. He really missed my mom. But him too, I couldn't go either. And so it was like this. But I was actually worked for the chaplain there at Henley. And he really looked out. He let me have the whole service too. So I was grateful for that.
I'm glad that you got to at least participate with your family via video. Again, Jazz, I just remember seeing you at visit with your family, and I know that you guys were so close, and I'm so sorry for that. Thank you for answering that about the furloughs, because people do ask a lot about that. Let's lighten things up just a little bit and talk about your wife. You're out here building this new life and working hard for your family. And I was incarcerated with your wife, and I think that you were too. Did you guys meet in prison? Did you know each other in prison?
We knew each other, but we really didn't talk a lot. But she's I don't know why. I'm glad. You know what? I'm actually glad we didn't talk in there because I think it would have been crazier. I'm happy that we talked out here. But yes, I knew her in there.
How did that happen? Yeah, tell me about it.
Facebook connected us. That's how that happened. I always tell her, like, what I say. Can I say it, man? Can I tell her? I told her, I said, whenever I seen you, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that little add that friend. I said, I threw that little line out. She bit, and I was like, all right, I got it. I didn't stop. Once we started talking, that was it. Game over. I was like, nope, that's mine.
And you guys' pictures, I can just see the joy in your faces in some of the pictures, and it just makes my heart so happy to see both of you out here just happy and almost all the way free, right? We're still fighting a little bit with parole, but not in prison anymore.
Yes, yeah. I love it. We like our life. I'm so happy that I found her, and I got me I inherited a daughter with her, and I love her. She's amazing, and We have I love our family. It's so crazy. Like I tell you, I'm telling you, Marcy. Whenever I lost my mom, my brother, I was just like, I don't know, the way that my mom loved me. Like I told my sister, I was like, am I ever gonna feel that love again? And it's so crazy because Sully just loves me so unconditional like that. Like it's crazy the way she loves me. Like she, I always tell people all the time, it's weird that she reminds me of my mom a lot. Like the way she loves me, that she gets on my ass. She knows how to keep me in line, man. Because I be wanting to. Sometimes it's like when I'm telling, when parole piss me off, I'm like, what the hell? And she's like, nope, you're gonna, she knows how to. She loves me really good. I'm so happy I found her.
Let's talk about getting out of prison, transitioning to the halfway house. Can you tell me about the halfway house?
The halfway house was something else, man. I was actually at Land Manor in Beaumont. You can't have your cell phones. They really tripping on cell phones. But I snuck my cell phone in because I had to have a cell phone. Like ain't nobody trying to go waste no quarters on the little 15-minute phone call like I'm still in prison on a payphone. But the halfway house, I ain't gonna lie, like they had some good people there, like who ran it. Like I met this lady named she actually, because one of the ladies, whenever I first got there, I wanted to see my sister. And they're like, oh, it's COVID. We can't let y'all see y'all's family. And I'm like, what? And Michelle was like, tell your sister to come back. Oh, man. When I hugged my sister for the first time, like free world hug in 11 years, we just were both crying. Like, it was good. I did the little classes there. You still got to wake up like 5 o'clock in the morning, feet on the floor, clean your room like a damn boot camp, and then look for a job. As soon as I get a job, I got me a job so I could be out that halfway house. I was not trying to be there. I was not, because that's just, I don't know how they could just sit there all day. It's boring doing those classes all day, all day. So I got me a job. As soon as I got that job, did the classes, what I had to do, like 30 hours a week or whatever, and burnt out.
What was your job in the halfway house?
Yeah, I worked at Subway.
My halfway house job was Sonic.
I went to Subway, man. Did y'all? What halfway house did you go to?
I went to BB Casa in Bryan.
Oh yeah. They were strict over there too about bringing food in. I hated that. I had to sneak my food in because
Yeah, we got pat searched coming in. It was serious there. I called the halfway house halfway prison because the rules were so strict. I said, this is prison. They just don't lock the doors.
yeah, pretty much
And
is.
I snuck my cell phone in also.
Heck yeah, man.
You just couldn't have told me that I couldn't communicate with my family at that time while we were like trying to get our life together. You come home and you parole out. You're on parole. You have to have an address to parole out to. Who did you have to parole home to?
Well, I'm so grateful. I got a really amazing stepdad. My mom, she was married to a great man. So when I came home, I went back to the house in Katy. And my sister, she's married. I could have went to her house too, but I wanted to go to our home. He already had my room. They've been waiting for me, like my mom, I'm telling you, she had been waiting for me. So they had everything pretty much ready for me, and that's where I went home to. I went home there, and then once I met Sully, I came out here to make a home out here.
Was the halfway house in Beaumont close to your family's home?
It was like an hour. I want to say like yeah, about an hour away.
I'm just curious. They placed me so far from home that it's not like we could get a job and start our life then. It was just literally a holdover.
Yeah, that's literally what it was too. Because I mean, I'm like, well, y'all want us to start a job out here, but it's not like I'm gonna. Well, it's crazy. My first job, like outside of that, I was supposed to start out there. I was working and doing remodeling houses because when I went to Houston, I actually found that guy on Indeed, and he was supposed to start me working in Beaumont, but he took forever. So I started working at Subway. Whenever I got to Houston, I was remodeling houses.
You moved with your wife, and what jobs did you do then? Did you go right into maintenance?
Well, when I got out here, I wanted to do that, but like, okay, so I'm on the ankle, I'm on SISP, and I'm on the ankle monitor right now.
Say that again.
I'm on SISP, the super intensive supervision program. I'm on the ankle monitor, and so with that, when you first come up for that, like once a year, then if you're low or moderate, you can come up for it biannually, twice a year. So with me being on that monitor, when I came out here, I had to see how this parole officer was out here, because the one in Houston, she kind of like, it got on my nerves, but she did work with me more than the one out here. Like, cause I remodeled houses, and I told her the way that they want us to do, I have to know where I'm gonna be that whole month in advance. Well, remodeling houses, he can have a job 1 week at this house, or 1 day at this house, another day at this house, and they really like, well, we can't change your schedule. I'm like, it's a job. That's my job. I don't work at McDonald's. I don't work at Walmart. I work remodeling houses. That's what I want to do with my life. I'm doing something that I want to do. So when I got out here, because I don't know if you heard of Angie Services, like on the phone. I even have a job with them. Like, and that's kind of like Uber, but maintenance. Like somebody hooks you up, like, oh, they need a light fixed, or they need their whatever. I'm on that, but I can't do that out here because my PO out here, she won't change my schedule for me. So when I got out here, I actually had a job offer for an electrician apprentice with this guy. They do tootin' totems out here. They have a lot of gas stations called tootin' totems, and so what my job would have been was doing all the electrical work for all the tootin' totems, with the signs, with the inside, the outside, everything. But he said that I would have to, like, he didn't have a set schedule. They just had different tootin' totems. So she wouldn't let me do that job. So what I did, I turned around and got a job where my wife works. She's a trainer at Cavaness. It's a meat plant. I didn't know at the time that they had maintenance, so I just went in there and did packaging. I did like material handler. So once I got in there, I tried to get to the maintenance department, but they wanted me to do nights. And by that time, I missed a phone call and they locked me up. So I lost that job, and now I got the job that I have now.
Okay, we have to back up. You are on the monitor, and I just want to make it just break it down for somebody that's never been in the system or never been around somebody with this monitor. For you to be able to go somewhere, including work, what are the steps that you have to take with your parole officer?
All right, so with me, I'm on a monitor, and it's a GPS monitor. I have a schedule, like they print me out a paper, and it has Monday through Sunday. On one side, it has work. So like the way my schedule looks like for today, it looks from 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. From 7 a.m. to 5:30, I have enough time to get to work and come home. Then from 5:30 to 6:30, I have this food place called Amigos. It's like a HEB kind of out here, but they have gas station there. So every day I have work, and if I don't have work, then I have to be in. Like right now, I can't even go outside to my front yard or the garage, the backyard. I can't go nowhere. And I have to have this schedule for the whole month in advance. So they know Monday through Friday I work. So Monday through Friday is my set schedule from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. She gives me to 6 to get home. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I have class. On Tuesdays, I have TC class. Wednesday, I have AA. Thursday, I have AA. The rest of Friday, I think I have like Walmart. I just have to know everything in advance. If I, like right now, if I were to call her and tell her, hey, can I go to Walmart tomorrow? No. Whatever's on that schedule, I have to follow. I can't deviate from the schedule at all. And I have to plan this every month in advance.
If there's a family emergency, how does that work? Can you take your daughter to the doctor, or?
You know what? That I'm not even gonna say yes, because I don't know. With her, I was trying to set up an appointment to get to this doctor, and she told me that it wasn't medical emergency, so she didn't have to change my schedule like that. And it's crazy because I had actually set this appointment a month in advance, and she messed up my date, and she wouldn't change it for me. So I had to turn around and reschedule that. So I don't know. I do know that they're supposed to do medical. Like if I have a medical emergency, I know they're supposed to. But I don't know if she would make a big deal with my daughter. Before, she used to try to tell me this isn't my home. But now that we've gotten married, she doesn't say that no more. But before, she was like, that's not your home. I was like, yeah, it's my home. We're engaged. She's like, that's not your home though. I said, yeah, it's my home. That's my family. What are you talking about? So I don't know about medical emergency for anybody else, but I do know for me, like if something happens, they have to do that. Other than that, I don't know, because the lady I have is like, she's really, because I've had other supervisors Like, in the one I had in Beaumont, she told me just be around that area. Like, let's say I have from here to Walmart. She didn't care as long as I'm in that area. I could go to other stores that are around there. The lady in Houston told me the same thing. As long as you're around where you're supposed to be at, just be there. Because I've told them, like, what if I have to make a stop at a gas station? Like, I drive far. The ones in Houston and Beaumont, they didn't care. Her, I can't stop nowhere. If I stop, I'm getting in trouble. I'm trying my hardest because I want to get off this monitor so bad. Like, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
To somebody just listening in who hasn't had experience with this, some people might think, well, she must have been messing up. Well, if they're not accommodating her at all, she must be missing appointments. She must be going where she's not supposed to be. She must be using illegal substances. Is that the case?
No, and let me tell you, because I've been out here since I got out here May 2022. I've been on this monitor, do everything they tell me to go. The TC classes, the 6-month classes, right? When I got out here, I started those TC. Well, actually, she didn't start me right away. I didn't start those till like August. Marcy, the job that I was working at before I got this one at Cabinet is a meat plant. The meat plant is bad signal. And I had told her, like, hey, I don't get good signal there, and I can't have my phone on me there. So I need you, can you I work Monday through Saturday. So Monday through Friday, she can call me. And if I miss her phone call, I won't get in trouble because she'll let me call her back. She'll yell at me, but I tell her, like, hey, I don't have signal. I'm sorry. I didn't get your phone call. But Saturdays, if she's not in, it's command center. Well, a lot of times they would call me because I would lose signal being in the plant, and they would want me to go outside and walk it out to let the signal come back. I had told this lady multiple times that I do not get good signal on my cell phone, to give the command center my job's number, and that my job knew to transfer the phone call to packaging. She told me, nope, you got to have your cell phone on you. We got to get a hold of you at all times. I said, well, I'm breaking the rules because I can't have my cell phone at work anyway. I'm risking losing my job. If I get caught with a cell phone, they're going to fire me. She's like, well, you need your cell phone. So I'm like, all right, fine. I sync my cell phone in. Still don't work. 2 times they called. I missed the phone call. She took the warrant away. And I told her, though, I said, look, Miss Flores, I do not get good signal. Please tell them to call up there. Like, I'm not trying to get in trouble. Like, I don't want to be in trouble. January 28th, they call my phone. I answer it. The call drops. So I go outside. By the time I get outside, it says I have a voicemail. I guess they were trying to call again. And I'm like, oh, man. So I'm outside. I'm trying to call that number back. That number just rings. I'm trying to see if they'll call back. They don't call back. I go inside because my monitor cleared. I could tell it cleared. So I go inside. By the time I get on lunch, my wife, she has missed phone calls. She don't have her cell phone on her at all. So I'm like, oh, babe, what do I do? She's like, just go home, and maybe they'll see that you went home, and she'll take the warrant off. Just talk to her. Go home. Monday comes. She tells me come in. I see her. She's like, you have a warrant. I said, Miss Suarez, I answered the phone call. I sent you a text message. I told you I answered the phone call. The call dropped. I tried to call him back. I was like, please, can you lift this warrant? And I told them at the hearing, I said, that 409 number, I have not had that number since February 2022. And she said at the hearing, she's like, that's the number I have for your contact. I said, ma'am, you've never talked to me on that phone. When I seen that, that's the first number they called. And I told her, I said, I feel like those other warrants, they weren't calling my phone because I never got missed phone calls. This time I did, but before I never did. So I don't know if they were calling that number and not my number. I said, but if you would have just given them my job's number, all this would have been avoided. I shouldn't be in jail. I told the lady at the hearing, I was like, I don't think I should be in jail if she would have just gave them my job's number. Because to me, common sense, if you can't get a hold of somebody, what are you going to do? You're going to call their job, right? If that's where they're supposed to be at. No. So they locked me up. She was so pissed that my lawyer found these faults and was getting back at her in the hearing. During the hearing, the lady asked, does Miss Torres have a home to go to if she gets released today? She's like, yes, she's allowed to go back to her house. Marcy, when it came time for me to come home, she came up with some shenanigans and lied and said I had too many alerts in my house, meaning alerts that my monitor is not getting signal at the house. I've never had an alert at my house. Never. She instead of letting me come home, they released me from Randall County Jail and sent me to Dallas to a halfway house. I was there for like a week and a half.
You're working. You don't have a good signal. You're in a warehouse environment. So I worked in an Amazon warehouse, and I can say half of the workstations I was at, my cell phone would not ring. And your GPS monitor, it's a similar device as a cell phone. So if your cell phone's losing signal, I can see your monitor losing signal. They issue a warrant, and I want to talk about this. You were not able to go back to that job. You lost that job because you were gone in county jail. That's a pretty big deal, to be out of prison, have a good job, and lose it because of some technical mistakes regarding this GPS monitor.
Yeah, I was at that job for 10 months.
I'm so sorry that happened. Then your family had to endure the expense of hiring an attorney. Do you mind me asking how much that was that your family had to pay?
Yeah, we had to turn around and pay $5,000 for this attorney. And honestly, I was gonna tell her like, man, I said, babe, they're gonna reinstate me. Who's gonna take me? Who's gonna send me back to prison for missing a phone call? But she was like, no, I want you to have a lawyer because I want him to be able to point out the issues of what she's doing wrong. And I was like, all right. And he did. He got out there with her. But yeah, we had to spend that. And not only that, you know, county is more expensive than TDCJ, all the phone calls. We spent a good amount. And then on top of that, they sent me to the halfway house. And I had to get back out here.
After spending 11 years in the penitentiary and coming home to the free world, doing what you're supposed to be doing, not living that criminal life that you had kind of gotten yourself into when you were young, how did it feel walking into that county jail?
Man, Marcy, that is such a big difference from when I was 22 to now, because when they locked me up, I was sick. Like, I was just thinking in my head, I have a family. I have a daughter now. I have bills. We have a home. We're buying a house. Like, this ain't my life. Like, I'm sitting in there and I'm literally sick. I would not eat. Like, I probably didn't eat for that first week because I just kept thinking, how am I back in jail for doing the right thing? I was like, I don't do drugs. I don't just say screw it and not pay them. I have a job that I'm working every day. I go to the classes they asked me to go to. I see why some people say screw it and just do what they want to do. I said, thank God that I have y'all and a family and I care about y'all, because if I didn't have nothing, then I'd probably be one of those people like, oh, screw it. But I have a family, and I talked to them about that. I talked to my parole officer about that. I was like, this is my freedom. It's my life. And you sent me to jail over a phone call. You took me from my daughter. She's over here crying, wondering when I'm going to come home. Like, that hurt me. I didn't have to deal with that when I was 22. This time, I said, man, I ain't about that life, man. I am not about that life. I cannot do it. I was, and it's crazy over here at that county. You're just in a cell by yourself. You come out like every 2 hours, like from 6 to 8, and then from like 1 to 2, and then 6 to 8 again. It's like you're in that cell pretty much all damn day. And I was like, hell no, I'm not about this life no more. It made me sick to my stomach having to do that. I couldn't believe it. And I was in there for a whole month. I couldn't believe it.
There was a bill presented this legislative session that would make tampering with a GPS monitor a felony. And I testified on that bill because I wanted them to be aware of circumstances just like this, that those monitors sometimes don't pick up signal. GPS, just like when you're driving in your car or when you have it on in your phone, just like it has glitches and it messes up sometimes, those monitors do as well. I got pulled over one time. One of my headlights was out, and the anxiety that I felt just talking to the officer, knowing that I was okay, knowing that I'm not doing anything illegal other than my headlight was out, and that I was doing what I was supposed to be, still the anxiety. So I just can't imagine how that felt to be escorted. Were you handcuffed?
Yeah, man. She told me, she's like, there's nothing we could do, Miss Torres. I told you to answer that phone. I turned, because I was crying. I was like, Miss Swords, please. I turned, I seen that cop, my heart, I was like, oh, I thought I was going to throw up. He just handcuffed me, and I was like, all right. I was sick, man. I was sick.
Were you able to interact with any of the other ladies in the county jail?
Yeah, I mean, we went out for like lunch and dinner and all that, but they had they had a lot of fed people there. But really, I just stayed to myself. But they did have a lot of people there, because I asked like a couple of ladies, I asked them, have y'all seen people come in here on a monitor, or for parole? Like, how long does it take? Some of them are like, oh, it takes 3 months. I'm like, hell, 3 months? Hell no, I'm not trying to sit here for no 3 months. Yeah, that's when I talked to them a couple times. I was asking about the monitor.
Did you have your monitor on in the county jail, or did they remove it?
No, they removed it, but it's crazy. When she came on a Sunday, and she put the monitor on me on a Sunday, and they sent me back to the cell to get all my stuff. And then, when they released me, you know what she made me go? She made me go to a shelter. She didn't even let me come home for the night. She made me go to a shelter and then catch the bus in the morning to Dallas.
Even though you had a safe home to go to that does have a GPS signal, you went to Dallas at a halfway house?
Dallas Transitional Center, DTC. Yeah, that's where I went. Because you can have your cell phone there and all that. Because I looked up the reviews, right? And I'm like, what? They're trying to say it's like TDC, right? Because I was like, heck no, man, I ain't trying to be there. But I will tell you, when I got there, the parole officer I had, that lady was really good. I told her what happened. She's looking in the computer. She's like, there's nothing on here that says you've had alerts at your house. She's like, if they have an issue with you, they're supposed to put it in some OMS or IMS system, something like that. She's like, there's no notes on here. So she called. She called up there and asked to speak to my parole officer, and she went there. So she spoke to her supervisor, and she's like, I'm wondering why y'all have her here when she has a home to go to, and this place where you send her is for people who don't have homes. She said, we're full and she has a home. Why didn't y'all send her home? And I'm only hearing one side of the conversation. So she tells the lady, she's like, well, we have other monitors. There's other monitors y'all can put on her if you're trying to say that had signal. But she's like, I'm looking in the computer. There's nothing in the computer. So she said, she's like, I want to put her address in, but if y'all are going to deny it, you need to let me know now, because she has other people she can go to if you're going to try to tell her no. But that's her family. That's her wife. She put that address in, and she told me when she got the phone, she's like, she's mad. She's like, that lady's mad, I guess, because she's a supervisor and I'm not, and I'm questioning her. She's like, but there's nothing wrong with it. She's like, you can go home. And I had to wait there for like a week for my supervisor out here. What they did, they put me on a 2-piece whenever I came back home. And that's like, it hooks up into the landline, which that's another thing, Marcy. Before I came out here, she told Sully that they needed to have a house phone. My monitor doesn't require a house phone, but we've been paying an extra bill for a house phone because she made us get one, and we never had to use it. Never. And so then whenever I came out here, they put me on that 2-piece. That 2-piece didn't work. So they put me back on my other monitor, which works perfectly fine, that I had no alerts on, because I called the supervisor and I'm like, I want to know why y'all are saying I have alerts. I said, she's obviously lying if I have the paperwork, right? And I said, I'm looking at the paperwork. It says home plan is good, has a good home plan, and can go home. So if she says that, but then turns around and tells y'all I have alerts, how is she a good parole officer? I was like, that makes no sense to me. She's lying to y'all, and she lied at the hearing. They didn't want to. They tried to tell me that they were gonna look into the report. Nobody's told me nothing. I know that they know she's lying, because the report, they would have called me back and say, oh yes, you had 70 alerts at home. I've not had no alert at the house. Never.
So sometimes there's like personality differences, or sometimes somebody has a grudge that you don't even really know about. It doesn't even have anything personally to do with you. It's something within them. And it just sounds like this certain parole officer, she's not a good fit for you. So surely after all of this, and you talking to the supervisor and the parole officer in Dallas, talking to them, surely now that you're home, they gave you a new officer?
I wish. No, I had to call the assistant regional director, and the regional director. Still, they keep me with her. I don't know what, like, okay, when I talk to the assistant regional director, the supervisor over here, she's like, look, we're gonna have a meeting. So we sit down, we have a meeting, and I'm telling her everything because okay, well, on this SISP, Marcy, if you are low, that means you have 12 hours of pro social is what they call, like, that's like for me on the weekends. Like if I want to go to the movies, I put on my schedule, or we want to go to the zoo, we put that out. I had asked her whenever I came out here because I was low. So I told her, I was like, so I'm at 8 hours a week right now. I said, when do I get to go up? Because the way my parole officer in Houston, she explained to me, she's like, you start off at this, then the next month we see you do good, we give you this, we give you this. She told me straight up out here, she's like, oh no, we don't do that. She said, it's to our discretion, so you're gonna stay at 8. Well, I was ignorant to this, Marcy. Whenever all this happened, I came home and I looked up the policy for this monitor, because she also told me too. I was like, so if they deny me from a monitor, when will I come up again? She's like, oh, it's only once a year. Well, I read all the policies. She wouldn't even let me go to church, Marcy. She said church was pro-social. And I was like, no, church is not. Church is my religion. It's not. That has nothing to do with my pro-social. She tried to tell me that I had to take out going to like the park or something for those hours for church. And I was like, no, ma'am, that's not how it works, because I've been going to church when I was in Houston. That's separate. She wouldn't let me go to church, nothing. So whenever I went to this meeting, I brought I printed out the policy. And I told them, I was like, look, I said, I was ignorant before. I said, but this lady, I've been on low supervision since May, and I've only had 8 hours pro-social. I said, I'm supposed to have 12. I said, and she's told me no, that we don't do that. I said, I'm supposed to see them biannually. She's told me no, that I only see them once a year. I said, on top of that, she won't let me go to church. She says, no, it's pro-social, that I have to take out my time. I said, and I said, for February, I took out my time just so I could go to church, so I could show her. I said, but y'all locked me up, so I didn't get to do that. I said, I don't think that it's fair that she's lied on me. She wasn't willing to give command center my job's number. I've lost my job. I have to start over. I said, I feel like I'm getting out of prison all over again because I don't have a job. I have to start these classes all over again for 6 months. I have to do AA all over again. I said, I don't think it's fair. The head supervisor, she's like, yeah, she's right about about church. And then I tell her, I said, we're trying to have a family, and I wanted to go to the fertility church doctor, and she tells me she can't do that she can't change my schedule. I said, so now I feel like she's biased against gay people. And they're like, no, she's not trying. She's like, what their resolution was, they asked me, could I please forget the past and move forward? That was their resolution. So I said, you know what? I'm a grown up. But if she's gonna be crazy and yell at me and curse at me and lie on me, then no, I can't move forward. I said, but I can try my hardest to move forward, but I just want respect. I said, because she's already threatened to, the first time she seen me, Marcy, she told me straight up, she's like, if you mess up at all, you're going back to jail. And I was like, I haven't even done nothing. I just got here and I didn't even do nothing from the start. I just missed a phone call. You're mad about me missing a phone call. I'm not 22 years old no more. I'm not out here trying to be some gangster and trying to be on bars and doing all these things. I said, no, I'm a grown up. I'm married now. I have a child now. I have bills. I have a home that I'm trying to buy. I said, I have a future. I said, I'm trying to go to school. I'm trying to finish up my thing. I said, I have plans. I want to have my own business in my own time. So I'm trying to do these things, and I don't need y'all every 6 months. She's going to send me to jail and I'm going to restart over. I said, I don't need that. I said, so I really would like a different parole officer because I don't feel safe with her. And they're like, just give it a time. We've already had a talk with her, and we just asked y'all to try to work this out. And I'm like, all right. I said, okay, let's try it. So I tried, right? 2 weeks ago, I come home from AA, right? Come home from AA. It's 8 o'clock. My monitor starts going off. So I'm like, oh, she ain't lying. I'm getting an alert at the house, right? So I'm tripping out. So I go outside, I walk. I now see, now they have a number for the command center that they never had posted up. So I got that number when I went to parole. I called them and they're like, oh, no, you're okay. You know, your monitor is just going off. You're okay. You just go back inside. I said, well, the thing is still saying zone. When it's saying zone, that means you're not where you're supposed to be at. So they're like, no, you're okay. Come inside, it's still just going off. And so I tell Sully, I'm like, man, babe, I'm tripping out. It's still saying zone. She's like, don't worry about it. In the morning, just call her and let her know you talk command center. I'm asleep, dead asleep. It's 10 o'clock at night. We go to bed early, so we're asleep like 8:30. We're knocked out. My phone's ringing. I look over. I try to answer it. I missed the phone call. It was command center, so I call them back. And the lady, when I talked to her, she's like, "Oh, I'm calling you because where are you at?" I said, "I'm at home." And she's like, "Is that where you're supposed to be?" I said, "Well, yes, ma'am. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm supposed to be home. I'm asleep. She's like, "Well, on your schedule that I have showing on the computer, it says that you're supposed to be at work." I said, "No, ma'am. I work from 8 to 5." And she's like, "Well, the reason your monitor is going off is because you're in an unauthorized zone." She said, "Well, let me talk to my supervisor." And she's like, "In the morning, call your parole officer and let her know." So I'm freaking out. So I call her and I'm like, "Hey, this happened." She's like, "Oh, well, I haven't looked in the system, but if I have any questions, I'll call you back." So she don't call me back. She don't say sorry. She don't say like, "Oh, I messed up," because let's just say, for instance, Marcy, I was dead asleep and I missed the phone call. They could have set a warrant again, and I would have been going to jail I wasn't where I was supposed to be. I was at home. So later on that day, she calls me, and what she calls me for is about church. I go to church at 10:30. She's like, "Hey, Miss Torres, are you willing to go to church at 8:30 in the morning? If you are, then you can keep your hours that you have set that you requested. If not, I'll have to cut your hours, your pro-social hours." I said, "Why would you have to cut my pro-social hours?" She said, "Because I have to have two unscheduled visits at your home." I said, "Okay, well, you can come to my home. I don't work on Saturdays, and I'll be there on Sundays." She's like, "Well, I have a lot of clients." And I said, "Well, I understand that." I said, "But I have a child and I have a wife, and they work. She works, and they go to school, and it's hard to get kids up in the morning for 8:30. So no, we go at 10:30, man." And she's like, "Well, if you're not willing to do it, then I'm like I said, we're gonna have to cut your hours." I said, "Why would you cut my hours if I haven't done nothing?" She said, "We can modify them." She's like, "You know what? I'll staff it with her supervisor." I said, "Yeah, because I'm gonna call them too right now." So I call them, they don't answer, but they did turn around. She turned around and she emailed me and she tried to fix it. But I was pissed by then because I'm like, "You're already threatening to cut my hours. You want me to change my church schedule for you?" And I'm like, "Nah." I said, "It's not gonna work like that." Like I actually seen her last Wednesday, and I told her, I said, "Look, I forgot to tell you this. At the hearing, she tried to tell them that I was tampering with my device. Oh yeah, and that Sully said I couldn't come home." And I was like, and my lawyer was like, "If she said that, why does it say on here?" Like he pointed it out to her. But it's crazy because I brought it up at whenever I had that meeting. I said she told them that I was tampering with my device. The alert that I had clearly said motion GPS, which means to step outside. There's another alert that tells you when you tamper with it. My lawyer, he yelled at her. He's like, "Was anything wrong with that device when you seen it?" And she was like, "No, but I mean, it was on a Monday." He's like, "No, no, 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 no. If she was tampering with that device, you would see marks. Was there any marks? You had the device." She's like, "Yeah, but there's nothing." She said, "Okay, then. So you're trying to say my client was tampering with it, but there's no marks on there at all." So he's like, "Is there other alerts?" And like he pointed out. And I told him when we had that meeting, I was like, "She lied and told them I was tampering when the alert clearly says motion GPS. It does not say tamper." But I still have her as a pro officer. Like this last time we seen each other, I don't know. I told her, I said, "Look, man, I'm gonna try my hardest, but I need you to understand that I'm not doing what y'all. I'm not doing wrong. I'm doing what you want me to do. I have a good job that they're paying for my school for me to become a journeyman." I was like, "And I do not need you to mess this up. Please, don't mess with my freedom. Please." That's where I'm at right now with her.
When you got in trouble when you were 22, had you been in trouble before? Was this your first charge?
No, this is my first charge. I have 2 aggravated robberies. So whenever I got in trouble for the first one, I was still 22, but back then, how people say like, "I ain't gonna snitch, I ain't gonna snitch." So I didn't say nothing. I took the charge because they gave me deferred. But the same people that I was with that first time, I was still hanging out with them, and bam, we caught another one, and I got in trouble. So I really have one charge. They counted as CC. But right now, that is the only time. Like before that, I never got in trouble. I'm telling you, I was in sports. I love school. Like it's crazy. Like I love school. So it wasn't until I turned 18 that I just went the other way.
So you have this little time as a pretty young lady. that you're getting in trouble, you catch a couple of charges, you're running with the wrong people, you go into the penitentiary, you're working jobs that require the institution to trust you. They trust you.
Mhm.
You see parole, the parole board has decided they trust you to be out. You don't have any kind of escape charges or evading arrest charges. I mean, where did they think you're going? Why did you why did
I
they
don't know.
yeah,
You
it's
know, it's crazy. Like, because okay, when I pulled chain of Carol Young, I was never supposed to be a trustee. So I didn't know when I became a trustee, I thought the same thing. Like, what? I'm a trustee. When I got to Carol Young, Marcy, the maintenance shop was in a trailer. Like you literally walk outside the gate, and I was tripping because the road was right there. And I was like, "Where are we going?" They're like, that's where we work." And I'm like, "We work right here. Like the road's right there. This is where they trust me like that." When I made parole, like I'm telling you, I'm grateful I made parole. I'm blessed that I made that first parole. But when they put me on this, I don't know. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do what y'all tell me to do. It's been hard with this lady. Like in Houston, I think I would have probably already been off of that. But out here, I don't know what it is with her. I don't know why she. I don't know. It's hard though. It's hard. I don't know why they had me on it. I don't know if maybe it's because I had deferred adjudication and I caught another robbery. Maybe that's why they put me on the monitor. But it is crazy because you're right. Like I became a trustee in there. Like if I was gonna do something crazy, I guess y'all would have thought I did there, but I didn't. Like in prison, I did my jobs. I tried to go to college there. You know, I did college there while I was there. I just try to do the right things. Like I really, I just try to change in prison, and I thought maybe they would see that, but I mean, I'm grateful I made that first pro, but this monitor sucks, and I don't get it. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
it almost seems like they trusted you more working in that maintenance shop
Yeah,
outside of the prison fence next to a road, literally in basically in the free world. I mean, you weren't in the institution, you weren't inside the prison walls when you were working, and they weren't
yeah.
tracking you.
No, yeah, it's really, I really did have much more freedom at Carol Young than I do right now on this monitor.
I want to touch a little bit about parole fees and the costs of being on your monitor, all of the costs that are associated with getting out of prison on the FI5 program, which is the same program that I went through. And for people that don't know what that is, that's an in-prison program, followed up with the halfway house, followed up with multiple classes. So let's talk about the costs of all of that.
Well, I will say this: my monitor, I don't have to pay for that. I think that's included with my $18 fee. So, like with parole, which is cheap because you know people on paper they pay a lot of money, but I only pay 18 for parole, and then I turn around and I pay for my post-secondary education because I did reimbursement with the college, so I'm paying off my college too right now. And then on top of that, with these classes, you pay $5 every time you go to class, and then $10 for one-on-one. So really, I'm paying a whole nother year for that because I already did 5 months of that, and now I'm starting over again and paying 5 a week and then 10 for the first 3 months. When you do the TC classes, you got to have two one-on-ones. So I got to have those, and yeah.
Somebody getting out of prison that maybe doesn't have the family support that you have, the financial support that you have, $18, $5 a week, $10 a couple times a month, those numbers don't seem like a lot. But for somebody that doesn't have all of that, that can add up.
No, it can, and especially out here because you know we live in Hereford, and where I gotta go is Amarillo, so I still had to drive about an hour away to go to those classes.
Wow. So you have to have transportation
Gas, man.
on top of that. That's
Yeah,
a lot. And
yeah,
transportation to get to your PO office. These are things that people don't really consider. You know, we have the highest recidivism rate. Our country has the highest recidivism rate out of any democratic country, period. Our system is failing. So first I want to point out that you spent 11 years. You gave 11 years of your life to pay for your crimes. And during those 11 years, the system you would think would have been confident enough in themselves that they would have rehabilitated you to where they didn't think they needed to babysit you in this manner.
I brought that up to their attention because I've told them, I was like, look, I get it that y'all have other people, and I'm sure that you've seen plenty of people tell you what I'm saying, but then they turn around and do this. And I was like, but my actions are showing you, like, I'm holding a job. I'm trying to go to school. Like, and I told her, I said, this job that I have right now is paying for my school. I'm with my family. Like, even half the time when I put something to go out, we just want to chill at the house. Most of the time we're just watching movies at the house. Like, that's what we love to do. And I tell them that, I'm like, I'm not, I would understand if I'm coming out dirty, or I'm not doing none of that though. Like, it's crazy to me because I'm literally doing what they want me to do. Everything they want me to do and more, because now I'm doing your classes all over again.
When do you get off parole?
I won't get off till 2031. And I brought that up to them too. I said, I have y'all for 8 more years of my life. Do you think that I want to be on y'all's bad side? No. So, I have to start these classes over again. My counselor that I have, when she's seen me, she's like, you relapse? Like, she asked me, she's like, you relapse? I'm like, man, heck nah. So I told her what happened. And she's like, you know what? Don't stop talking to them people. I have 3 other clients with the same parole officer, and she does them the same way. She's like, she lies on them. She tries to lock them up. She does the same thing. She's like, you had to be careful with her. She's like, so don't stop talking to those people. She's like, she's done it to my other clients. And I said, why do they have this lady here? Like, I don't get it. And that's a counselor telling me that.
That's so disheartening to hear, because the parole officers that I've encountered, I've had 2 now, but just the office in general here is very supportive. They're, I travel out of the state all of the time, and we don't have the same charges, but we have the same sentence. I'm on parole till 2031, and we got incarcerated near the same time.
Yeah.
And it's no problem. I had a last minute trip to New York, and okay, here's a travel pass. And it's just so disheartening to see someone working as hard as you are to change your life, to build something positive, to be a positive role model for your daughter and your wife. And it's like somebody's just holding the back of your shirt and you're trying to get away, and somebody's just like, you're getting a little too close to success.
Yeah, I brought that up to her because I told her this last visit, I said, the guy who hired me at my job, I said, he told me straight up that he's going to be watching me for the next 2 weeks to see about making me a supervisor. I told her, I said, how can I be a supervisor if I can't be on call? I can't go to there's 2 other places that we take care of. I said, you're telling me I can't do these things. I said, this monitor is holding me back, and it's holding me back from what I want to have. I said, I want to have a career. I said, I really need y'all to please think about this, because I'm supposed to come up next month because I'm biannually, but I asked her about it. She's like, we'll talk about it next month. I hope I can come up next month, because it's hard, man. Like, when that man told me that, Marcy, I was like, what? Like, I was excited. I came home, I told her, but then I told my babe, I was like, but what is that? I said, I'd be pissed off if I've been working there for a year, 2 years, and how could y'all make her supervisor if she can't even be on call, or she can't go here, or she can't go there? Like, that's not fair.
I'm so sorry about all of this craziness based around your parole officer, and frankly, this one officer in particular. And I hope that things really change for that. I can only hope that the agency sees that she's the problem with not just you, but many people, and some changes are made, because it's not right. It's not fair. And it's not good for our community as a whole, because it's holding you back from being the best that you can be.
It's crazy. I watched something the other day, and it was like, don't just go through it, but try to grow in it. And I try to keep that mindset, because if I don't have positive mindset with all this, I'll let it drive me crazy. Like, it makes me mad, but I still have to just try to see the best. I'm like, all right, she's just challenging me. Let me just keep doing what I'm doing. Just hopefully they'll see that. It is hard, man. And like I told the supervisor, I said, I fear that she can just say something and y'all send me back to jail again. I was like, that's not cool. You know how crazy that sounds, Marcy, that I'm working, paying taxes, But then y'all take that away and waste taxpayer money to send me to jail and to do all that. Like that, she's wasting, like that's wasting money. And then on top of that, like they gave me a bus ticket to go to Dallas. And I said, I have my own car. I'll just take my car. She's like, no, you need to get on the bus. So you're wasting more money. I have my own car. I can drive myself to Dallas. They're like, no, you got to take your own car. I mean, you had to get on the bus. If you don't get on the bus, that's a violation. What the hell? I said, y'all just like to waste money, I guess.
That's really the ding, 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 ding moment, because
Yeah.
it is just a complete waste of resources. The fact that she sent you to that place that was full, that was taking up space for someone else that didn't have a place to go. Yeah, just the whole thing is crazy. Jazz, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but any final thoughts about, think about what kind of advice you can give to anybody that might watch this that has family getting out of prison, and frankly, if they're on a monitor, how can they support that their loved one the best way?
I'm gonna just say like this, help them get where they need to be. If they're on that monitor and they need to get a job, first off, help them get a job, because when you get that job, it helps you look a lot better. So take them to the workforce, get on Indeed, fix them up a resume, help them do that, and also just stay positive, man, because they're gonna try to bring us down. You know how we met different guards in prison that were just like I feel like she's one of them guards who's like but I'm not gonna let her block my shine. I'm not gonna let her bring me down. I'm not gonna let her think, oh, you're just another, you're not good. No, I'm not. I'm gonna continue to succeed. And it's hard and it gets frustrating, but don't let them do you any type of way, and don't let them bring you down, man. Like just keep going. Every day, hey, I got a day to get up. I'm breathing. I'm not in prison. I am out in the free world. I have my bed. I get to lay next to my wife. I have my child. Like wake up in the morning, be happy, and still just do your thing. Don't let them bring you down. I'm gonna still be that coffee bean, even out here.
I love that, Jazz. Thank you.